everyone. Welcome to... Actually, where are we going with? Are we going... Is it Magical Boys? Is it Desperately Seeking Senpai? What did we decide on?
Look, we could decide on a name when we decide on a name.
Welcome to the as yet unnamed...
I've got artwork commissioned for us for... what'd you say?
What? The Weeaboo Hour.
The Weeaboo Hour?
Weeaboo Hour. I still stand by Supernova Thunder's Weeaboo Corral.
Look, we've got all that. All I know is that I've got some artwork coming in of us as some magical boys.
Kick ass.
So, whether that's the title or not, you guys will see the title because it'll be on the video.
Yeah, by the time it's up, welcome to...
Searching for Senpai.
Yeah, Severin, when we send you the sound files, I'd like you to just put it up on the screen on the video, and then if you have any recording software of your own, feel free to put in your voice for the first time ever heard.
So people can hear you.
Yeah.
Welcome to TBA. My name is Jacob Betts, and I actually don't watch very much anime.
Yikes.
What about you guys?
That's why we have our own separate mic over here on the Cool Boys couch.
This is the mic for people who watch anime?
Yeah.
Oh no. But introduce yourselves.
I'm Kane.
I'm Kenneth.
You know us from such shows such as the Supernova Thunder, also on YouTube, where we play video games.
And from How's That Pokemon, where Kane and Kenneth try to talk to me about Pokemon too.
Yeah.
Well, in every episode of this, we are going to watch 4 episodes of a show, then we're going to break them down over here. We break them down like the disparate elements necessary to reconstruct into something else. And I say that because it's time for Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Oh, the equivalent exchange.
Yeah.
Everything of equal value is the most important law.
So, Kane, Kenneth, have you guys seen this show before?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Multiple times.
So, nice.
This is probably like my 8th time watching through this, specifically Brotherhood.
Yeah.
Maybe like 3 for me.
I think I've only watched through the original series once. But
although when we talk about Death Note, that's going to be like 8 or 9 times for me.
Really?
But Death Note only has 1 season, people. It only has 1 season.
So, what is your guys' opinions of Brotherhood going in for this particular rewatch, from what you've taken from watching it before?
I'm always curious, because I'm always finding new things whenever I rewatch anything in general, and I think this time I really wanted to check out some of the different character arcs and stuff of characters that are maybe not super noticeable the first time watching through, because there are two main protagonists that you kind of follow the entire show. Mm-hmm. I kind of want to stick it out and see if I can find anything new or interesting to talk about with anybody else or any of the specific plot arcs that I might have missed.
It is one of those shows that's really long, and there's a lot of... Well, not really long, but...
It's 63 episodes.
Is that a lot for an anime? Is
no,
that normal?
Well, I mean, if we cut out One Piece, Bleach...
So it's more than like a typical... So let's say you have like a season of an anime, right, which gets greenlit. It's usually about 12 episodes long, and that's like a single anime. There are like millions of fucking anime out there. If you're talking about the long-running like shonen, which I don't know.
Those are kind of made for that marketability.
Consider this that.
Something like Dragon Ball, where just never ending
with a different like setup. Because I think it's much more about a story than.
Yeah, this is definitely more about the start and finish, and they do it really well in the 63 episodes that they had greenlit. I don't know if they opened with we were just going to do the manga in as many episodes as we can, or if they actually had like a specific number to work with.
Because Naruto kind of ends, because the world still goes on after that, and they made Boruto.
Right.
So there is a continuation. Bleach...
But those are long-running manga that are still going.
Yeah,
like,
Bleach...
But Naruto isn't called Naruto anymore.
It's called Boruto,
Yeah.
Naruto, the Next Generation.
Yeah. So it's
still
sort of
called
like
Naruto, but...
It's sort of like Star Trek. Like, they have Star Trek that takes place in different times and with different characters, and they all are in the same universe. But, like, Star Trek is... They're no longer making episodes of Star Trek.
Yeah.
But they're making...
But you have, like, Bleach, which is... They never finished the anime, because there's still more manga to it.
But are they still making anime episodes?
Yeah, that's I heard something recently that they might be coming back, but they still have... they still have like their what's it called, like their Shippuden to make.
Oh, okay.
I'm really nobody can see me doing this, but
Okay.
Quotation marks.
yeah. But and then there's One Piece, which is just
So those are all
Whatever.
Shonen Jump.
Yeah.
Actual. This is not.
Yeah, this is not a...
this is
Because
not-
Shonen Jump is a company that
Yes.
makes shonen manga and stuff, right?
Very specifically long-running shonen.
yeah.
Now, have you guys read the manga for Fullmetal Alchemist
I've
before?
read some of it because I watched the original series, and then my buddy was like, "Hey, you should read the manga because it's way more interesting." And then I was like, "All right." So I read some of it, and it starts off pretty similarly in the original series, and then Brotherhood came out, and pretty much Brotherhood wraps up the first couple arcs in like 4 episodes, which
Yeah.
we'll talk about today.
Brotherhood just gets to the shit.
Well, if you were, if you watched the original series or if you read the anime, it's like you're not watching the series. You're not watching Brotherhood because, you just heard about it. Nowadays it's different, but at the time it was like you're watching this because you like the franchise. You want to see where it actually goes.
Oh, okay.
You want to get
Makes
to
sense.
you want to get to the stuff that's going down.
Right.
So I was thinking for this episode, we talk about the episodes somewhat individually. Maybe they'll bleed together because I don't know, how much you guys remember the separation between the episodes.
They really don't. I took notes for everyone individually as well.
Okay, because I'm not sure if this is the format we'll stick to, but I feel like for this episode we'll see where that takes us conversation wise.
Yeah.
So the first one, this is the title's Fullmetal Alchemist, and this is it's just the title of the episode is Fullmetal Alchemist. And this one, they're chasing down the freezing alchemists. They work as state alchemists, which means they're basically military magicians, effectively.
Yeah. Military scientific magicians.
Yeah, there's a lot of. We'll talk about this
With a
in
loose-
pretty much every episode, but there's somewhat of a gray area on what being an alchemist means. Like, are you a dog of the military? Are you a scientist working for science? Are you somebody who's trying to help people, like a policeman? Like, there's a lot of different reasons why everybody joins, but they're all ran under the same hierarchy.
Yeah.
And that really is the crux of this episode.
The dog of the military thing is mainly the war.
Because they
At least where it seems to have originated in the show, it's that they just did a bunch of nasty stuff during that.
Yeah, during
it makes
the
sense because this
war.
seems to take place in 1920s era Germany, right?
Yes.
So this is around World War One.
Yeah.
We've just gotten out of or are currently in some sort of alternate version of World War One.
Oh, they've just got out of it.
They just got out.
Yeah, they just got
Yeah, it's referred to as the the Ishvalan War.
Oh, okay.
Which
if
really,
you want to call it a war.
yeah, it's really not. It's really not a war.
Oh.
It's kind of...
They just basically just kill a bunch of people.
Oh, so
Yeah.
it's like
It's a...
Yeah.
it's a genocide.
The Ishvalan genocide.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
But they refer to it as a war because that's what their leader calls it.
Oh, that's actually my first thought watching this episode was, okay, so 100% the guy who literally goes by the title of Führer is going to end up being a bad guy. Like, you don't just casually call somebody Führer.
Yeah, the Fuhrer Bradley.
Who has an eye patch?
You're right. And also, I'd like to say they don't. In the original series, they don't paint him as dark right away.
Well, they don't paint him as dark right away here either. They actually paint him as fairly nice in the first episode. It's just
In
literally...
his personality, other than the music that's accompanied by him when
That's
he
true.
Goes
But,
off and
And when you really see him when he catches the dude,
and
everything turns black and white, and you're like,
what does this
like,
mean?
yeah, this dude is he's about it.
That's very true. I guess because personality-wise, every interaction he seems to have is very kind.
Yeah.
And my entire thought has always been, okay, so they're gonna take the rug out from under him because there's just no fucking way you name a character Führer anything.
Führer King.
Is it Führer King?
Führer King Bradley.
Jesus.
Why is he a Führer and a king?
Oh, do they call him King Bradley as well?
They call him. Some people in the show call him Führer King Bradley, like the whole thing.
Yeah, you're right.
Which I'm like, that's kind of.
Some people just now that you're saying it, I think people just refer to him as King Bradley as
so-
well. What is the? Do you know the actual definition of Führer?
It means leader.
Leader.
Ah,
So
but-
leader King Bradley. Okay.
Yeah, but it is also a word that, while it does technically mean leader,
It does.
it does have connotations.
Yeah, now, obviously.
And as a result, the word Führer shows up a lot in compound words in German,
Okay.
but on its own, as just the word Führer, they don't really use it anymore.
You're right, because...
Because,
you know.
Yeah. It's why they also don't use Jawohl anymore. But it uses
Well, it's why
leave
you
that.
see all over Japan, right? We see that what we would refer to as the swastika now, because that's how it's widely recognized. But I can't remember the actual name of the symbol. It's not tilted at an angle, but that actual symbol is like a symbol of power in Japan.
And other places.
All over the world.
But it's one of those
Some of them
things
go
that
the other way.
there's a fucking reason we don't use it
that's-
anymore.
we're just gonna,
Yeah,
we're just gonna
exactly.
leave that.
Yeah. So what is the point of their code names? Because everybody has a code name like the Fullmetal Alchemist or the Freezing Alchemist, but they also they don't hide their real names.
Literally to be cool.
They're literally just so they can refer to themselves as not by their real names, I guess. Just that's their officer name.
Okay.
Like, what's cooler? Oh, Edward Elric is coming. Or the
To be fair, though,
Full-Metal Alchemist is
To
coming.
be fair, though, Edward Elric is a fucking awesome name.
That is a really cool name.
True.
Just watching it, I was like, this is like James Bond, where technically his name, he's 007, and he's not really supposed to give away his name, but
Right.
he's constantly giving away his
Name's
name.
Bond.
And I was like, this is what they're doing? We have these cool secret code names, but fuck it. Edward.
Also,
Alphonse.
so that they can continuously making the joke of them thinking Alphonse is the Full Metal Alchemist because he's a giant suit of armor.
Which I don't think they ever do in the original series.
After I watched this, I watched the original series, because I watched Brotherhood first,
Right.
and then I watched the original. They do it in the original series a bunch, too.
They do?
Yeah.
That much? Like that? I feel like it was just over.
Because in these first 4 episodes, it was like, yes,
the
I get
beginning,
it.
like,
Like,
every
he's
time.
short. He's short. His brother's a giant suit of armor.
I actually wrote that down
I
in my
get
notes when I said there's way too many little jokes. They blew that joke 1,000 times in the first episode.
Oh, and
I
feel like it's not slowing down either. Besides the serious episodes later in the show, but any jokey episode is gonna get called short 3 or 4 times.
We'll get wrapped up into the story for sure, because Brotherhood's really good at that, but these first few episodes are kind of just like let's
Standard.
recap you real quick episodes.
They're very standard anime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's this first one in particular. I don't know if you guys felt this. I don't think it's very good.
When I got to the end of this episode, my first thought was, well, this wasn't really an episode. This was sort of the beginning to a huge story.
It felt like...
And I don't want the beginning to a story.
Right.
I want a story.
You want the story?
Yeah.
I felt like this first episode was just... And I actually don't have a ton written on this one as much as I do for the other episodes. But for me, it just felt like tons of exposition.
Let's throw you into something that's actually meaningless. That's not going to go very far with the freezing dude. It's not.
I mean, they could have just followed the freezing dude around and led, with the mystery of why is he doing this? But they didn't. He's literally why do
Yelling
you
and
trust the
screaming
government?
out.
Why do you trust what you're doing? He's literally
no
throwing
subtlety,
the
yeah.
lines of what we as an audience will eventually go through
and think ourselves.
based off of how well written the rest of the series
Because
is.
they have a Führer king.
Didn't look in I didn't look into this. I don't know if that first episode in Brotherhood is actually in the comics or not. I haven't gotten into
It wasn't in
manga.
the original one.
Yeah, it's not in the
That's
original
yeah.
series. From what I remember, the original series just starts with Lior.
I mean, it seems...
And that's where the
the
story
original-
starts us off.
It
Yeah.
seems very TV throw-in.
Yeah.
The original series starts with what is episode 3 of this one.
Right.
Let's just do a quick understanding of the premise of the show. They're alchemists, which basically means that they do some sort of magical version of science that allows them to turn anything into anything else, assuming that they
Have the right
have
stuff.
the right stuff.
The right materials of equivalent exchange.
Yeah, and everything, they keep pounding in the law of equivalent exchange, which I also thought was kind of funny that it was just a law of conservation of mass.
Right.
That's the thing, we already have this thing in reality. You didn't have to make up a different fake version of a thing we have. But the law of conservation of mass, or the law of equivalent exchange, so that you have enough stuff
Of one value to...
to turn into something else.
Right. after the first episode, don't they start the every episode with them just preaching that concept?
Yeah, with the
narrator's voice.
Yeah, I think so.
But I think it's for them calling it equivalent exchange is more pertaining to just the human element of it. Of like, you guys can't just get your mom back.
Oh,
right?
because
like,
you can't just make it.
What can equal the human soul?
Yeah, because they made something.
Yeah,
and they made something, but they didn't make their mom or any type of real human being. So I think that's why they changed it, or maybe they just said, "Oh, we can't use the original. Let's make something."
There's a great theory by Matt Pat where he talks about how Edward Elric's recipe is just wrong.
Okay, I want to fucking talk about that.
His
I
recipe
haven't
is
seen
wrong,
that
and it
video.
could
You
have
should
worked.
watch the video. It's great.
I haven't seen the video, but fucking when he goes over it in I can't remember I think it might be episode 3 when he starts actually saying it. One of the things he mentions is 4 liters of ammonia.
Yeah.
That's almost a gallon of ammonia. You can't fucking tell me that we have about a gallon of blood. You're telling me we have about a gallon of pee, like the same amount of pee in us as urine or as blood?
Right.
What the hell? Like, no. There's no way that's right. So anyway, that brings us, I think, to episode 2.
Yeah, there's a lot more to talk about here.
Episode 2 is called The First Day. This sort of talks about their backstory a little bit, about how they lost their mom to a plague before the war, and they tried to bring her back.
Right.
How quick does she die in the show?
She just...
It's like they're talking about her, and
He
she's
literally
gone.
says in the show, he's like, and then a sickness came.
Yeah.
And took our mom, and then they're at the gravesite.
This actually has been what's kind of getting on me, because after I saw... Because when I watched the original after watching this one...
They show her sick and stuff.
They show her sick.
Yeah.
They basically dedicate an episode to what turns into one sentence of lip service in this episode.
It's almost like a joke.
Well,
It's almost like a parody video where it's like, and she's dead. All right, let's move on.
Yeah.
again, this is the recap episodes.
Yeah.
The Brotherhood really is like, we're trying to catch you up so that we can start telling the story that was meant to be told here.
I guess, but it feels like
the mom dying.
The mom dying is such an integral part of their backstory that it really does bother me they just skip over it like that.
Because they wouldn't be doing what they're doing. Well, they wouldn't be as dedicated, I would say, if it wasn't for that. They might be alchemists, but they wouldn't be so advanced and going so hard.
Because I want to know... why they wanted to bring their mom back. And obviously, I can get, on an abstract level, my mom died, I want to bring her back.
Yeah, and
but
like
that's so different from
happens.
seeing her and knowing who she was as a person
Right.
and what she meant to them and why she's worth bringing back. And that's a journey that I like going on and that I think should be gone on in the show.
I agree, and obviously they do that in the original series. And in this case, but it's... I disagree in the sense that I don't think it's integral in telling their story. I think that backstory is completely implied with their actions in the present. You know that they loved their mom. You know that you don't need to see that because it doesn't actually really affect
I'm not sure I agree.
pretty much anything other than they've learned their lesson with taboos and they've learned their,
I don't think I can subscribe to that, though, still. Because I can understand why they why they loved their mom, but I think in terms of just doing visual storytelling, that's still going to be more powerful and more important if that is something that we see played out, as opposed to just I like these characters and these characters like someone else, so I have to take their word for it.
I mean, I agree with you. I'm just saying, I feel like the actual story to tell that story.
I mean, it doesn't need to be seen, but I think it helps a lot.
It definitely helps a lot. It definitely helps you relate to them for sure.
I very much believe that visual media, or even art in general, is there to get you to empathize with someone.
And you feel
to feel emotions. Like, I want to feel things.
And you feel like that machine is missing a part.
Yeah, and I feel like that machine is kind of missing a part in this one. And it still functions. It still works as a machine. But I think it would just be a more effective machine if that part were there.
Agreed. And
you could spend like half an episode about it. You could spend like 5-10 minutes about their mom.
I just want to know who their mom
You don't
is.
need to be like, oh, let's go on a tangent for 3
truly
episodes.
wonder whether or not this was just like they were doing a quick series and then they got subscribed to more episodes, after they had done like the first few to see if it was successful again,
Yeah.
or if I think the amount of episodes they were greenlit has a lot to do with what they cut.
Oh, like maybe they only got 12 and they figured, well, fuck it, we have to get
we
this.
gotta start telling the story.
Yeah, but even so, it makes it feel like a supplemental work. Like it makes Brotherhood feel like it's only there to piggyback off of the original.
Well, you're only 4 episodes in, man. It's gonna start picking up.
Yeah.
Here pretty soon. And actually, rewatching these 4 episodes, that really hit me this time. Was like, man, this is feeling pretty lackluster. These first 4.
Yeah, because so far, whenever I tell somebody that I'm watching this show to do this podcast with you guys, and I say I watch Brotherhood, and then afterward I watch the original, and they'll always pretty much go, oh, you don't have to see the original. So far, and again, I understand that this might change, but so far, the original has been better.
Yeah.
Every place where they have a 1-to-1 episode, the original has been a better told story. Maybe it changes. It seems to sound like it does change, and I'm willing to accept that probably is what happens.
Yeah, it does.
But right now, when I'm 4 episodes into the first one, or into Brotherhood, and I want to say, what was I 7 episodes into the original? Because I watched the ones that were the same.
Right.
So I think that's like 7 episodes into the original.
Yeah.
So far, every time they do a 1-to-1, the original's been done a better job of doing that episode.
That this episode does that is different than the original series, instead of just kind of like retelling stuff from the original series. This specific episode introduces one of the most important parts of Brotherhood in general, which is Ed seeing the truth.
Oh yeah, the little kid.
Which is why he can
transmute
without a circle. Clapping and doing. And there's only a few other characters that can do that throughout the series, and you'll find out like what that means.
And the other ones, they have like a gimmick.
Yeah, in the original series, there's like a gimmick to it, and it was like
because like Scar has he does it, but he has all the stuff written on his hands.
Yeah, anybody who transmutes without a circle secretly probably has a circle on them somewhere.
Yeah, they
actually, this was my exact thought was while watching it. I kept thinking, why don't they just tattoo all the different circles on their body and then just fucking have them?
Yeah, that's what Scar is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the guy you see at the end of episode 4.
Yeah. He's got the cross on his face.
Yeah.
Okay.
And with then the scar on his face.
And then during the first episode, you see when the freezing alchemist, I can't remember his name, is like breaking some guy out of jail. That's Kimbley.
Kimbley. Yeah.
Kimbley. Mm-hmm. He's got his hands trapped in like a brick, and he's got circles tattooed on the front of his palms. That's why his hands are like that in that episode.
That makes sense.
Or like you got Mustang has them on his gloves.
He's got them on his gloves.
So the shortcuts, but everybody else who does it has
kind of useless for me. Like he has to like keep changing his gloves and shit. Oh no! Wait, no, they explain it. He's got sulfur in his gloves, doesn't he? Isn't there a reason why he has gloves?
I don't think they've explained it yet. So if they do explain it, it must be later.
It'll probably be like one line in Brotherhood that they explain that off.
Because that boy useless in a drizzle.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah,
say
she says that.
Is that because
he's so cool?
Is that because his gloves get wet?
Yes, it's because his gloves get wet and he can't snap. He can't start spark. That's why. Yeah, these gloves are important. I remember now.
The gloves are important.
It makes sense because that's where the fire comes from.
Yes.
He can't. I assume he can't make fire. He has to like have it there, and then he can control it, like Pyro from X-Men.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly like Pyro.
Also, fun fact: snapping isn't your. It's not your thumb and your finger making noise. It's your finger hitting your palm that makes noise.
That makes sense.
So, but back to the truth, which is one of the coolest characters, in my opinion, because it's just sitting there.
Yeah.
And he's like...
And he's just an outline.
But he's just like straight up, he's like, I'm God.
Yeah.
Like right off the very first time you see him, he's like, you call me God, you call me whatever. And Ed's like, what? And then you actually get to visually see their interpretation of what the truth looks like when he's going through the door.
Oh, yeah.
And the idea of him having to pay a toll to be able to learn that information is super interesting.
Mm-hmm. He has to give something up to gain something.
In that episode, he gives up his leg to be able to see through the truth, which is how he learned. That's how he learns to clap. Mm-hmm. And then he gives up his arm because after he's seen through the truth, he knows how to bring Alphonse back, who I assume gave up his soul to bring to life whatever the creature that they brought to life was. Because if you see, like in the episode, the thing they bring back is breathing.
Yeah,
it has a soul.
It has a soul. That was.
That would
And
make
it
sense.
says something or just screams?
Yeah, I think it just makes noises.
I don't remember it saying.
I don't
anything.
remember it saying words, but it just makes noises. But then Ed gives up his arm to attach the soul to the iron bar.
I love Alphonse's voice. I adore his tiny child voice coming out of the big ass suit of armor. That is wonderful. I love it so much because it really does help drive home the fact that he is a little brother and he is like what at this point, 12 or something, but
So-
he never got the chance to age past like 8.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So his
Yeah.
voice stays the same. He's still got an 8-year-old voice, but he is like 12, and his body's like
Which is
His body's like a fucking 1,000.
is just some science that we just go with.
yeah.
There's
We're
no,
like,
it's just go with it. Just let's not get too technical with this.
yeah, man.
Even though we broke down the,
Some of the, like-
exact formula for the compounds of the human body. But
some of like the sadder scenes with Alphonse are right in these first couple of episodes with him just like being like, oh yeah, I can't have that quiche, where he's
Oh, his little book. His
Yeah,
little
she
book.
like tries to feed him.
Yeah.
That's it. Alphonse has objectively a worse situation than Edward.
Yeah.
And he's always like, no, Edward, we're gonna get your arm back. I'm like, no, Edward can fucking live. He's got an arm and a leg. You need
Would
a body.
you rather be
bro.
a soul trapped into not just a piece of armor, but a giant fucking piece of armor? Like,
Yeah.
you can't walk into regular places. Or would you rather just have a metal arm and a metal leg?
Yeah, at the very, like, let's at least make it so you can, like, remember what food tastes like again.
Yeah.
Like, you put on, Ed puts on pants and a long sleeve shirt, and he's
He's doing fine.
a normal person.
And to be completely honest, they make a good case in some of the other episodes as to why his arm is even cooler than normal arms. So, like, oh, he's doing
Especially
fine.
being an alchemist, it helps him
Right.
make a knife out of nothing, block things, kick super hard.
Yeah.
This episode, I don't know if it does a good job. Like you said, the original series, I think, does a better job. But this episode is to sort of, like, give you the idea that, characters their goal of finding the Philosopher's Stone. Like, this is what our characters are going to be doing. This is the point of the show.
And that actually brings us into episode 3 pretty well, because that's all about the Philosopher's Stone, where they just arrive at the city. It's called the City of Heresy, and they find that the city is basically run by a church with a guy who apparently can do alchemy so well that it looks like miracles. So this entire city has begun to follow him.
What's his name? Father
Cornello.
Father Cornello.
Yeah.
Peter Popo?
Yeah. He's a... he's an interesting character. They do this story so well in the original series, because this is where, in the manga, it starts off.
Yeah, this is where it just starts off with this one.
And again, this episode's a lot like, hey, let's get to the fucking point.
Boy, was serving up that Kool-Aid.
Yeah. Straight up. But in this episode, I think they do better than in the original series, where they show a lot of, like, the actual, like, people of the town with, like, guns and stuff, and, like, actually doing some of the darker stuff, like shooting at Ed and Al, and,
Makes
like,
sense.
being like, we're gonna try to kill these fucking children.
Yeah.
Ed is
Yeah.
15, 16?
Something like that,
And then
yeah.
Al's, I mean, he's a
Well, they
giant
don't
suit of
know,
armor, but they're like, straight up, he's like, kill these fuckers. And you're like, whoa, 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 whoa. You know?
Here's my main question
Okay.
coming into this. What the fuck is alchemy? Because this episode, they make a huge deal out of how what they do is science, and what Father Cornello is doing is inherently anti-scientific. But they kind of aren't doing science. Like, alchemy's version of science is just a separate dogma. I guess it seems so odd to me, because he keeps talking about how amazing science is, and how science is so phenomenal. And I believe that too. I love science in reality. But alchemy's idea of science seems to consist of rituals and drawing circles and a lot of very religious imagery. And it's so, like, it seems so anti-science for something that they keep calling science.
Right. I mean, this is where I think the disbelief comes in.
Yeah.
The circles and stuff, think of them as like equations. Right.
Okay.
That's just what we would do. That's their math, for instance. It's just the circles are just the means to, okay, this is the diagram in which we put these chemicals or these materials in, right? Now, today, as we literally speak in numbers for most of our known science, right, we would see symbolism like that as like magic or rituals. But at the time, I think that is what they just justify as science, whereas religion is more like hard belief and faith.
Yeah.
Blind faith.
And I think that is the difference is, you can't just believe something and then it comes real. We actually have to do work, or we have to we actually have to do something to make something, right? The equivalent exchange again.
Which is kind of what the episode's kind of about. Is you can't just believe in things.
Yeah, I guess I have a knee-jerk reaction to people who, like, really, really praise science without understanding it. And I'm not saying this doesn't understand it, I'm just saying, like, a big point for me, this is a bit of a tangent, but a big point for me is actually whenever a movie or a TV show has, like, ghosts or zombies or something in it, and they'll have, like, a scientific character, and the science character is going to be like, well, ghosts aren't real, or, like, zombies can't possibly exist. This is so anti-scientific. When every scientist I know in reality, if they found a ghost, would be so fucking excited.
They'd be like, how do we prove it?
Holy shit, ghosts are real!
They'd be
I can't wait to figure out why.
They head straight to the lab.
Like,
You know,
and I'm not saying that this show does that, I'm just saying that every time it comes close to it, I start getting like...
Actually, this show exactly does it. That's the whole point of the episode, I think, is that and leading on to the next episode, I'll talk about it too, is that these are all false justifications for whatever, sort of to like prove something that the character wants, right? So
that makes sense.
A lot that I wrote about is this is the biggest theme that's pretty much throughout the entire show, is the abuse of power, right?
I can see
and
that.
whether that's through science, which we'll see specifically in the next episode is what we're talking about, or through religion in this episode, or through the military, which is just kind of throughout the whole thing, just because they're a military-governed society, are all false means to justify killing people.
Yeah, and all of that is just because somebody wants more power than they have.
Yes.
That makes a lot of sense, and I think you're right.
And I think part of this episode as well deals with, like, your own personal power and growth, and that's okay to, like, strive for. But as soon as I think that the fine line, or at least the point of where this making is, if you're trying to justify your growth and your power and gaining power by killing people, or if you're justifying your killing in the means of getting more power, or using the false lead, saying that that's what makes it okay, I really think that is, the underlying message of the entirety of this series.
Well, it makes sense because it's equivalent exchange. It's saying you can't get power without hurting someone else many times. Something has to be lost in order for something to be gained. Actually, I saw Us about a week ago. Have you guys seen Us?
No, I'm actually going to see it this weekend.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I've read 1,000 different interpretations of it at this point. And one of them, let's see, actually, I'm going to have to sort of dodge around it a bit because you guys haven't seen it.
Right.
But one of the things it deals with is sometimes people can't have any form of power unless they're hurting someone else.
Yeah.
And I think that is very prevalent here as well. It's like you've gained maybe not even power, maybe even the ability to just be a normal human being, and you've decided to do that by hurting other people.
Well, I think adding to that, I think the actual, or at least part of the point, is that that's what people think power is. And then there's this whole secondary arc of this pursuit, right? This pursuit of power, in particular for the boys, the two characters trying to find their bodies, power so that they can restore themselves, their own power.
Yeah.
Right? And how do you justify finding your own path, paving your own way for your own power? That's not the same as what you're saying, right? The power that you're talking about.
Which is power over other people, and not over yourself, which is what they're looking for.
Which is what Father Cornello, any of the big figures really think power is.
Yeah.
Right.
Father Cornello, or the 3 of what I assume will eventually be 7 deadly sins.
Wait, did they go into that?
They haven't gone into it, but they've called each other lust and gluttony and envy, so that I
they
figure
did.
there's 4
that
others.
That is the Father Canelo episode. Yeah. Yeah.
They show Envy?
Yeah, they show Envy in Brotherhood. They don't in the original series. I think it's just gluttony.
In episode 3?
Yes.
Yeah, they don't show what Envy looks like, but at the end, Father Cornello comes back out, and you're like, wait, how is he alive? And Lust is like, hey, Envy, you're gonna have to keep that form for a while.
That's great foreshadow, everybody. It's great foreshadow. Not showing anybody what Envy looks like is great foreshadow.
Oh, okay.
She doesn't have the greatest character design.
And that's I don't know. I really like his character design. He wears like a crop top, and he's got like bright green hair that like sticks out.
I'm a sucker for crop tops. I don't know what it is about him. I just love it. Like it's like I'm gonna be kind of sexy, but also like maybe I'm just free because I'm kind of hot in the middle.
He looks like Evil Gon.
Yeah.
If you know what Gon from it's another anime. It's Hunter x Hunter.
I'll save for when we actually address him, but he's sort of like a foil character for Ed.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Which is, I mean, we'll get into that.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think we mentioned him because he's shown, but that's my brain pops in. I'm like, oh yeah.
This is a tiny thing, but I like when they're getting away from Father Cornello when he's trapped him with the Chimera, and they get away from him by making a door in the wall.
Yeah.
I love that all Edward has to do is move the stone.
Yeah.
He could have just blown a hole. No, he makes a fancy door.
He's the Fullmetal Alchemist.
It's a fancy ass door. I love it.
All his swords that he makes has his little fucking head on it.
Yeah.
Like everything he designs. And I don't know.
He makes the bat with his face on the
right at the end with the little
which was baseball invented? Yeah.
I don't know. Well, no, because baseball was around in World War I.
It's been around.
But that's like the only reference. But yeah, whatever. That's
right.
It's not important. But
it could just be a club.
Every time he makes that spear, it has like the fancy dragon and the wings on it and stuff.
The Fuhrer Bradley moment where he creates the spear. He's doing the test.
Oh yeah,
exactly. He's like, they could easily kill you in here, and then his spear snaps in half, and he was like. Whoa.
Yeah.
Which I had to I rewind to check the animation.
Yeah,
it does show his sword out.
Oh, really?
Like not him cutting, but no, it doesn't show him cutting. But it does show because he's like, when did he draw his sword? And it does show that like, because they don't make it obvious that his sword is out. But after he cuts the sword and you see that angle from across, you can see the sword in his right hand.
That's so
It's not like he cut and put it back. He's still holding it.
But it is drawn at one point.
Yeah.
And sheathed at another point.
Yes.
That's so cool. I like that they bothered doing
That's another moment where you're like, who the fuck is this guy?
Like,
That like our main character would have died instantly.
Yeah.
Well,
if he wanted to.
I mean, and then they actually show him in action in the first episode, right?
Yeah.
With the
Well,
freezing
I mean,
Alchemist.
it's just adding on to like who, like they're chasing this guy around and he takes him out in a second.
And if we're going,
Our main character attacks him, and without him even knowing, he could have killed him. He could have cut him into a million pieces.
and if we're going into the symbol of power aspect, right, of this story, of course, if he's fucking Fuhrer King Bradley, he's got to be one of the most powerful characters, at least physically.
Which is kind of funny, because if he is in any way built around Hitler in reality was a fucking wuss.
Yeah.
Like, he was a dweeb. He wrote a whole book whining about how nobody understands him.
Yeah.
Like,
I would say he's not based off of Hitler.
he just sort of has
King
these
is other
than-
Germany,
The cool, like besides him,
I mean, other than
I think we know being evil
other than the genocide.
is he seems like a fucking cool ass dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, he's so nice all the time.
That I think is a huge thing that I do love, because you see that a lot in reality, is people who are very, very outwardly nice, but there's this core of evil underneath. It's how a lot of evil people are very civil. A lot of evil people are often very, very kind, superficially. It's like, have you ever seen the movie Green Room?
No, but I've heard about that. That's the one based in Oregon, right?
I think it might be.
Yeah.
But it's amazing. It's about this punk rock punk rock kids that are trapped in a green room trying to escape because they're being surrounded by Nazis.
Yeah.
And the way that the Nazis put them in the room and try to keep them there is basically this guy. It's such a good moment. This guy pushes them back in the green room by going, okay, just get back in, it's okay, everything's fine, get back in there, everything's fine. And that's how he corrals them, is he keeps telling them, this is where you're safe, this is where you're fine, and he's doing that so they can kill them.
Yeah.
He's being, like, aggressive, but he's using this verbiage of a nice person, which is what a lot of horrible people will do.
Yep.
Because then also they show that
It's mixed messaging, man.
Yeah.
he chooses all their names.
Yeah.
Oh,
they don't
nice,
have choice.
that's right.
He chooses,
So all these cool ass names that like sound like they're coming from like a middle schooler. It's coming from him.
Yeah.
Right. All these people are like, oh, that's an awesome alchemist. Oh, because Fuhrer Bradley chose to make them the cooler ones.
Yeah.
Right?
That makes sense, because that's a really good way to...
Yeah, which is also like he's
I mean,
controlling popularity.
Exactly.
I don't really like this guy, or he might come up to me and he might try to take me over. I'm gonna give him a shitty name.
Is Major Armstrong's name? Is he the heavy
strong
fist?
arm.
Or
Strong arm.
Yeah, the strong arm alchemist.
Armstrong.
Actually, you want to talk
Armstrong.
about Armstrong? Because I know
But-
you said you wanted to.
I love him.
So think about him. He's a guy that is gonna do what Fury King says, as long as it's not like super evil. But he's like a soldier through and through.
Yeah.
So he gets a cool name, and he gets to be popular
Because he's loyal.
Yeah. So
But
he's like,
also-
you get a cool name.
Oh man, I want to talk about this because the point you just made. The fact that he's a soldier is the reason why.
He's a soldier through and through.
Well, it's a really important thing why he's where he's at in terms of. And actually, I can't talk about this because I was going to bring up another character, but I'm not because I can talk about it now. Because he's where he's at, and they mention this. There's a conversation between Mustang and Hughes about this because he's such a soldier. That's the reason why he doesn't move up in the military.
Oh, because he's so good where he's at.
Exactly.
Yeah. We don't want you in charge because you're really, really good on the ground.
Or you're not lying.
Or you're not. Oh, that's also a good
he's
point. Because
not-
if we move you
'cause
up,
You're not
see how rough
taking
you
your
are.
own personal morals and ideas into consideration in terms of your own leadership.
Because
That makes sense.
if he starts finding out like some backdoor stuff, he's not gonna be down with it.
Yeah, that
Right.
makes a lot of sense.
Hughes mentions there's a very specific scene where Hughes talks about this is the end of episode 4 if you want to
Yeah,
go
we can
into
move on to
episode
episode 4
4.
here.
Before
I have
start-
one more thing about episode 3 though.
Before we start episode 4, I didn't watch episode 4.
Oh, that's alright.
I didn't watch it on purpose.
Oh,
Because as soon as I saw what it was,
Yeah.
it's like
Once
one,
you watch
it's
that
like the most
episode.
Once you watch
one of like
this-
the most famous episodes in anime. But once you watch it, I was like, I went back to playing FIFA. I was like, I know what happened.
It's
As soon
hard.
as they say like the bio alchemist or whatever, I was like,
Yeah.
I know what happens.
It's-
I don't need that hurt again.
It's
hard.
called An Alchemist's Anguish. And this is where...
Which one's anguishing? Jesus.
Actually, I think it's a dual purpose title. It's saying that like they both have different types of anguish,
Oh,
and
true.
it's supposed to parallel Shao Tucker's anguish with Edward's anguish.
Can
'cause
I-
They do serve as foils for each other in the episode.
Agreed. Can I just say that in my notes here, in all caps, down a couple lines down, all that is written that it says "tuck fucker" really aggressively in my
Fuck
notes.
Shao Tucker.
I was, needless to say, a little upset. Before we jump right into the episode 4, though, I did want to say there's an interesting quote that Ed gives at the end of the episode 3, that he gives to, what's the girl's name with the pink streak in her
I
hair?
forget. Yeah,
Winry?
No,
No,
Winry.
Winry's
The girl from Lior.
the girl,
Rose.
Rose.
Yes, yeah.
Because she's got a rose streak in her hair.
blind faith girl.
Yeah.
He says something. So this is what it's like 5 years after the events of them bringing their mom back, right?
Something like that. Yeah, yes.
He says to her, "Stand up and walk, pave your own path."
Oh yeah.
Which I think,
You got 2 good legs.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is an incredibly important theme throughout the entirety of like paving your own path, finding your own power, kind of what I was talking about. But he's quoting Mustang from the second episode.
Oh, is he?
Who straight up tells him
I didn't catch that.
when he's
Oh,
giving
yeah, when
his
he's, like, depressed.
when he's giving his state alchemist.
Or when he's
Mustang,
not depressed.
but what he keeps out of it is the most interesting thing, which tells you the difference of these two characters, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Mustang says, "Stand up and walk, even if it means burning everything in your way." to get where you need to be.
Oh, that's a very Mustang thought on that, is because he will just move.
Well,
he'll move up.
He's a soldier.
Yeah, well, he's a soldier. He's also a
at this period.
Right. He's also a huge politician.
Right.
He is phenomenal at getting promoted.
Right.
Yeah. So he's okay with burning everyone down to get ahead.
Yeah.
Except one person.
Except for one person, right? And that's why he'll never get ahead. Which is Hughes, his best friend.
Which one's Hughes?
The smiley guy who has the cute daughter. General Hughes is the greatest character
he's
in
got
the show.
a daughter, and he takes him in the first episode.
Yeah. And he, if you're talking about politicians, he is the one that's like, he's probably one of the smartest characters. You don't even see what he does alchemy-wise throughout the entirety of anything,
Mace?
right? Yeah. Mace Hughes?
Has he even said that he's an alchemist?
Yeah, because he was in the Ishvalan War. Well, maybe
Doesn't
he's
mean
just a
he's an
general.
alchemist.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe he's not an alchemist.
There's never any type of alchemy reference
So he's-
towards him.
He could just
Regardless,
be, in the
he's a
army.
general without being an alchemist. That should say kind of like his demeanor as well. Like if we're talking about, but Mustang will never pass him,
Yeah.
and that's the whole his stepping on Mustang's foot at the end of episode 4, which we can jump into now.
Okay.
Which the point I was making, he was saying to Mustang, because at the end when they capture Shao Tucker, maybe this is episode 1. Maybe this is episode 1. It is episode 1. So Fuhrer Bradley kills the freezing alchemist.
Yeah,
And there's a
kills him,
slight moment between him and Hughes where Hughes comes in and says, "Congratulations for executing the target." And Mustang's like, "I didn't do that. That was
I remember that.
Yeah, and he's
and
like,
Hughes is like,
Learn to take
learn
credit.
how to take credit.
learn how to take the credit, otherwise you'll never go up." And that's the point I was making about, because they're soldiers, they're never going to go up as long as they think that they're doing what they're told to be doing, or they're trying to be completely loyal, and completely truthful, when this is a game of politics. I think you said Mustang is like willing. He says he's willing to burn his way through, but he's really not. He's really going to.
He's a fucking softie.
Yeah, he's really going to not do it. He's going to actively choose.
That's what I meant
Yes.
when you said. When
Well,
I said
after
one
the
person,
war, right?
When I said one person, I wasn't even thinking of Maze. I was thinking of Hawkeye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Which one's Hawkeye?
The girl.
Oh, the one who makes fun of him in the first episode because he's useless in a drizzle. I like her.
Yeah.
Hawkeye's
She's
a great.
fun.
Yeah.
She's cool.
She started off as his secretary, right?
Yeah.
And then she ended
Now
up
she's like
joining
his-
the army
yeah.
because he went into the war.
Oh, she didn't fill a place.
And now she's his right hand woman.
Yeah.
Dang. Cool.
Riza Hawkeye. She's one of the coolest characters ever written. One of them. One of like my 2 favorite women characters in this show, and in anime in general. Hawkeye is one of them. Like,
Who's the other one? The Wall?
yeah, we'll get there.
Is she later in the series?
Yeah.
And she's only in Brotherhood. She's not in the original
Oh,
series.
okay. Well, then moving on to episode 4, An Alchemist's
Jon Snow.
Anguish.
Tuckfucker?
Yeah, with Duckfucker. The first thing I have written down is, going back to something we said in when we were talking about episode 3, I like how nice he seems. He seems so nice and welcoming, and only to have you realize that, like, no, he's fucked up.
Yeah.
Well, he's got the fucking anime glasses thing, there's
Yeah,
something there
which, like,
whenever
if you
they-
watch a lot of
I
anime-
can't
It's
see
a
his
shortcut.
eyes.
Yeah, that's a visual shorthand
When
that
you-
I'm less familiar
Yeah,
with.
when they do that, you're getting at least an asshole.
An Alchemist's Anguish
Yeah.
is an episode where Edward and Alphonse go to study with Shao Tucker, who's an alchemist known for his.
I'm sorry, did you say his
biological
name correctly?
I'm sorry, Tuckfucker.
Yeah.
Who does biological experiments. He's the bioalchemist. And he was known for creating a chimera that could talk about 3 years ago. But right now, research isn't going very well, and he'll lose state funding. Which I guess draws attention to what a state alchemist actually is, because sometimes they're not military men, sometimes they're scientists.
Yeah.
Like, because he's a traditional scientist. He does experiments, he is taxpayer funded, and he has to regularly produce research that makes it seem like he's worth funding.
Right.
And the big deal here is that it turns out that when his wife was going to leave him, he just fucking turned her into a chimera so he could get his state alchemy
Wait,
Right.
thing.
so I don't think they mentioned is the chimera talks, right?
Yeah.
If the chimera talking comes from his wife, what does the chimera say?
It says, I want to die, and then it just doesn't eat until it dies.
Yeah. So basically, his wife was
Why
like,
not-
"I'm not going to give you the satisfaction."
Why not just rat him out?
I think it's implied that they don't have the exact same brain, but elements of their brain is still there. Because
because it can talk.
Because it can talk.
It's got some.
At the end of the episode, it's revealed that he has maintained his funding by taking his daughter Nina and combining her with their giant dog.
Alexander,
the one who every time he jumps into frame gets his own special low-angle shot.
Which is like you just destroyed like a little girl and a dog.
Yeah.
Like, two of the most. You can't get any more like empathy than that.
Yeah.
You killed a little. Well,
and
you didn't kill it,
to,
but you ruined a little girl and her dog.
Yeah.
Right.
And that chimera doesn't seem to be either Nina nor Alexander.
It's very empty.
It's some sort of third new thing that kind of has elements of both of their brains.
Yeah.
She sort of remembers him as her father, but doesn't fully remember who Alphonse is, but sort of recognizes him. It's sort of Swiss cheese memory
Yeah,
stuff.
because it remembers Tuck Fucker because it's dad and owner.
Yeah.
So both of them have a dad element to it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's
right,
really
and likewise, I mean that's what Ed is when it refers to Ed as Big Brother.
Oh,
which is the moment where Ed's like,
Yeah, he's like,
holy
where
shit. The moment for everybody
the
where
fuck
you're
is
like,
the dog? And he's like, where the
Well,
fuck is the dog and the girl?
It's one thing. It's one thing, right? When you're watching this for the first time and you're like, "Oh no, he took the dog."
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
It's still shitty. What a fucking asshole.
Yeah, because it's so obvious that it's the dog.
Yes, and then when it says Big Brother, the big reveal, right?
Yeah,
That's
it's like, oh, that's what happened to
Also,
Nina too.
what's his like? Do they stay with him? How long are they with him?
Who?
The brothers.
Like a few days. They're staying. So they're staying with General Hughes. They're sleeping with at General Hughes' apartment. But they're during the daytime they go to because he has the library.
Yeah.
So he knows that they'll be back.
Yeah. This is something that actually...
So you do something so fucking obvious. When you know these two such kind, pure-hearted kids are going to be coming back.
Well, I think it's important to mention that this guy's already done it once before. Like, he's not... and the stress of not being able to pay and live, and...
Yeah.
He's already messed up in the head. He's already done something out of, clear...
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just saying this time you were going to get caught.
And in the version from the original where they do this story, he actually does explain that I knew no matter what, my life was going to suck. Either, it would be a tragedy no matter what. Either I lose my funding and my family starves, or I kill my daughter and my dog, and then they're dead, but I'm still an alchemist. And he makes, of those two terrible choices, he makes what is obviously the worst one. But he at least explains what his thought process was.
He could have put the daughter up for adoption.
Well, also, it seems kind of weird. At the end of Brotherhood, they just kind of leave the Chimera in the house.
I think so, yeah, because they just leave him and then Scar comes and kills him.
Right, which to me is are they just under house arrest? What is, are they waiting for a trial or something?
I think, maybe I'm remembering this wrong, but I think they might actually just be like, oh shit, there's nothing we can do. Oh, no, because Mustang comes, doesn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, so I guess they are, under house arrest.
Yeah, because, he literally, under the law, kills his daughter. So, he's stripped of his alchemy and everything.
In the original, they do put on a sort of, pageantry version of arresting him. They put him in a paddy wagon, and then, I can't remember the guy in charge. It's not Mustang, it's a different dude, who looks at Edward and just goes... Don't tell anybody about this. And you can tell that they're arresting him, but it's a fake arrest, and they're gonna keep doing it because the guys in charge want him to keep doing this.
Yeah, and I believe in the original series.
But they can't have everybody find out.
I think he comes up again in the original series.
Really, what are they supposed to do with the Chimera?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I honestly don't know what the ethical thing to do in that situation is. I guess you keep it alive.
Well, Scar will tell you what he thinks the ethical is.
Yes, and I disagree with Scar.
I also disagree with Scar.
Because Scar just kills them both. He's like, well, this is misery. You're dead.
Which is also, that's the other add-on to the episode, is that not only did the guy do this, but then they died.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that parallels what Shao Tucker was thinking when he made, or Tuck Fucker was thinking when he made it in the first place. When Edward confronts him, Shao Tucker actually says, well, human experimentation is necessary. I did this because this is part of what we're doing. We're not so different, you and I, that sort of speech. That's sort of the thing is, human experimentation is often necessary for science to progress, but That's why we have so many rules in place for consent, and why everybody has to know as much about what they're getting into before they do. Like, if you've ever been a part of an experiment of any kind, there's so much shit you have to sign, and so much shit you have to read so that you know what you're getting into. And any time that they have to, like, fool you for some, like, psychology reason, it's behind 1,000 different boards of review that have said this is okay. That's why consent is so important. And Shao Tucker just ignored that consent. Then at the end,
So does
Scar just ignores that consent too. He's made this decision for them. Shao Tucker says, I've made this decision for you, this is scientific progress. Scar says, I've made this decision for you, your life is miserable, die. I don't like either one because the Jacob Betts model for life is built around everyone's personal agency.
Hey man, it's a good rule.
Which is
to live
also,
by.
after he did the wife, and he showed great results,
Yeah.
we'll call them, from the eye of Fuhrer King.
Yeah,
He couldn't have asked Fuhrer King for, like, some prisoner on death row, and he wouldn't have got him.
That is interesting. If the state is so corrupt, you'd think that they would have people that they...
They would have just thrown a prisoner at him and be like, yeah, here you go.
Yeah.
Put these two people together.
Here's
I
the
don't-
thing: do you think he's in direct contact with the Fuhrer? Probably not.
Well, I mean, he doesn't have to
Probably
ask. I'm not saying that he has to, like, call up Fuhrer King Bradley's office, but
Well, what I'm saying
he
is,
asks and it goes up the chain, and Fuhrer King's like, yeah, I don't give a damn. He's
what I'm saying is, there is this like fake law of like you were saying, this like politeness that is the military, and
Yeah.
they're all like,
They sort of
we're trying to
pretend
keep
they're
the
doing the right
people
thing.
safe first, right? And yeah.
But I'm saying this is all behind the scene that nobody would ever find
Well,
out.
I'm saying Tucker's not high enough in the ladder
know
of
that
the
it's like
military
that.
to know that it's that corrupt.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
He's just the
good.
scientist. So, and I'm certain, even though some the military people probably saw this dog thing, was like, that's probably his wife. He has no way of them knowing.
In his
it.
head-
He
Can't
doesn't
say
know that they
anything.
know.
Yeah, in his
Yeah.
head, he had this huge secret that
Yeah.
he couldn't let go,
Which
and
adds-
ruin his career if it was found out.
Adds to more
That's
of why
true,
he
yeah.
thought he could do it again.
Yeah,
That's true.
that makes sense.
Yeah, if he would have known, he probably would have asked for, like, a prisoner.
Right.
Or
Yeah.
asked for somebody.
Which is also wrong for the record.
Yeah,
but
what I'm
they
saying is
definitely would
wrong.
have done it. Yeah.
But better than doing it to your own
Oh.
child.
Oh, they
Yeah.
definitely would have done it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They wouldn't even... well, death row, you could have any prisoner you want.
Yeah.
They could be in there for 2 months. You could have them.
Don't they have a prison like that in Fullmetal?
I wouldn't be surprised. It depends on how much they're echoing Nazi Germany. Because
Yeah.
if they are
Wait,
echoing
in the-
Nazi Germany, they did do that.
In that
Yeah.
battle, in the end, isn't that the underground shit? Isn't like a dungeon?
Yeah.
Yeah. You just grab somebody from there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Ed likes to end cap episodes with very philosophical quotes, and I think this really sums up
You know,
the
I learned
episode
something
in
today.
general. He says, "I know we're not devils. I know we're not gods. We're human." And to me, this episode is definitely the most empathetic, relatable episode of the
Yeah.
entire series. This is yeah, you know this shit's wrong.
Yeah.
You watch it and you know it's wrong.
I
Yeah.
mean, just as soon as I saw, the Bio Alchemist, I cut the episode off.
And they're not...
Because
they're-
it's just like, it's such a feeling episode.
Right. And they're not afraid to go there.
Yeah.
This episode is saying, like, hey, we are going to deal with some great... we know this is an anime, and we know Ed's, like, all fun and happy, haha, like, he does the funny faces, and we make fun of him for being short, but we're going to fucking go there.
The fact that Shao Tucker does the "we're not so different, you and I" speech.
Yeah.
And I wanted to know if you guys have any thoughts on that.
They are different.
Yeah.
Now, who does he
And-
give the speech to again?
He gives it to Ed.
Yeah.
We're not so much different. We're both scientists. We're both trying to find the truth. We're both like...
you did this to your mom, I did this to my wife.
Well, the difference is we're trying to bring our mom back to
bad.
life, and you are essentially
Yeah.
killing your daughter.
The difference is we were reckless, you are outwardly malicious.
Right.
Yeah.
And this goes back
It's
to...
the bad guy justifying.
Yeah.
Trying to make...
Well, exactly.
And trying to make the good guy think, oh, am I...
Science as a
was I
false
right?
means of justifying killing,
Mhm.
right? And again, they were children; they didn't know better what they were doing. And frankly, she was already dead. So, like, they were trying to bring her back to life. And they're genius children. So it's like not, that kind of ego. It's not. That's believable to me,
Yeah.
right? And he's not even a genius.
They
There
make a
are
point, yeah.
smarter alchemists out there.
They make a point of saying in the episode that, like, wait a minute, anyone could make a talking chimera if you've got people.
Yeah,
like he says,
did,
it's easy.
he did like a very basic thing.
He just took two things and put them together.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and it's Yeah, it's even sadder as we keep going through like the series.
Like every alchemist you meet in the show could do what he did.
I have in my notes written down the symbol of the watch because this is the first episode really that it's shown.
Oh yeah,
where he's literally where Tucker drops his watch and he's literally like trying to grab it again. The symbol of this
that's his life.
What is the symbol of the watch to you guys?
It's like you reach a certain like dream job or whatever, and you get like whether it be like a corner office,
right?
Or
I am curious.
If you're an athlete, you get the jersey, and it's like it's just an office. It's just a piece of cloth.
The Oscar,
but the fact, the Oscar is just a little statue.
Yeah,
but it's what it means being it's giving you an accomplishment.
Yeah.
Hey, you made it to this corner office. You made a great movie.
But the accomplishment is personal.
Watches generally in fiction symbolize the fact that you have no control over time, which I haven't seen that theme yet. Maybe it comes up later.
I mean, they're chasing time, right? They're young, but I think they feel like they're running out of time to find their bodies.
Yeah. There's no like super specific like time.
It's not like a ticking clock or anything before they will die or anything, is there?
No.
But I think that's on their brains, just because
brains that mainly that Alphonse is
mostly
missing
for Alphonse.
time of his life.
His body is like actively, not being nourished. Like, what does that mean if he gets it back? And that's stuff that Ed I think is constantly thinking about.
That makes a lot.
That
of sense.
Alphonse I don't think is as much, or at least not until later.
Because they think that he'll just get the body back and everything's okay.
If you notice, it's usually Ed that's like, we're gonna get our bodies back, but Ed is the one who's always bringing it back.
Yeah.
He wants Alphonse to have a body more than Alphonse wants to have a body.
Yeah.
Alphonse is ridiculously mentally healthy for a 8-year-old kid, who I guess is about 12 now, but for an 8 to 12-year-old child who has died and come back, he is very stable and seems to be very at ease with his life.
I mean,
that's amazame.
And he's still the softest, kindest.
Yeah.
This might be just me spouting on my ass, but a lot of my close friends that have gone through life-ending ordeals like that, when they come out of it, tend to be very different.
It's true. It's kind of just
and usually in an understanding, mentally healthy place that.
Because you kind of have to be just to.
They're just happy and grateful to be here. Yeah.
Just to be.
Like Alphonse was dead.
So
He was gone.
Yeah.
And he's back. I'm just happy to be around.
Exactly. And I think that's exactly what that is.
I'd rather be a suit of armor than nobody.
I think that comes across pretty clearly.
Yeah.
Being like, he's just.
He had to grow up very, very fast.
Yeah, he almost lost everything. He's always kind of the voice of reason that Ed needs to hear, because Ed's kind of just...
Yeah. Well, I also feel like Ed is so...
very brash.
He's very brash, and I think he has a lot of guilt that he hasn't quite processed.
Probably never going to honestly, how can you really... come
also,
on,
he's very standard anime main character who's, mean to old people. He's like Naruto. Naruto...
Is that a thing?
Yeah,
really?
Fucking Gramps and...
But there's a reason for it. There's a reason for everything in the show. All this, silly exposition episodes that we're talking about right now, they're all going to be that's why this and this and this later. Mm-hmm. I want to talk about the importance of relationships in this episode.
Okay.
This episode reveals a lot of characters.
Yeah.
The fourth episode does. It reveals Mustang's entire team, which is Havoc, Hawkeye, Fury, Fallman, and Breda. Mm-hmm. And they are all incredibly useful throughout the entirety of the series, even though they don't have a lot of speaking time.
Yeah, because I don't remember.
Every one of them individually is very important for.
Yeah, I don't remember which one is which, but Mustang's team is important in the story.
Havoc's the blonde one with the. He's kind of like
coming out of his mouth.
Fury is the little one. Wait, is Havoc the? I can't remember. I think Fallman is the one with the gray hair, who's head of communications, and Breda's the big gunner guy. Mm-hmm. And they're all incredibly important, and I think it's important to talk about how this episode's all about relationships. So they introduced all those characters for the first time because it's important to establish, one, Mustang has relationships with his team.
Yeah.
And his team is impeccably one of the most important parts of one of the plot arcs in the show. And then also we're dealing with Ed developing a relationship with Tucker's daughter, developing a relationship. Relationships are important. Mm-hmm. And the contrast of Tucker not really having relationships
Oh, yeah, because he
And-
has a lot of people in his life, but they're not
Yes.
relationships in the same sense.
In the same sense. So when going back to what you were saying about Tucker saying we're the same. No, they're not. Right. Ed may have grown up with a few people, but Ed's close with Major Armstrong. He's close with Hughes and Hughes' family.
Yeah.
And you see, as going forward, he's able to actual connections with more people.
Yeah. Which is a big part, and I think this episode is important in that end. Did you watch the coal mining episodes in the original series?
I don't think I've gotten there yet. The ones in the original series that weren't in Brotherhood, there was one on a train.
Yeah, the train one maybe.
The
doppelgangers.
Yeah, the
themselves?
doppelgangers. That was pretty cool. That was a fun episode. Oh, the filler episodes in the original have been fun.
Yeah, they're fun. There's a coal mine.
Not every series has great filler.
Well, there's a coal mining guy that's like a really corrupt and like stealing money from these people in this town or whatever. Then Ed comes and he's like, "Hey, so these people are working for you, but you gotta pay them right." And he's like, "I'm not gonna do that." And then Ed's like, "Hey, so he's not paying you right." And then all the people are like, "What?" And then he gets arrested because he's like a crook.
Yeah.
In Brotherhood, they sum this up instead of just doing a one-off episode because he's an important character that returns. They have Hughes and Mustang, and Hughes has his picture on a piece of paper, and he's like, "That's one for the books. Nice job raising that Fullmetal Alchemist." I'm like, wait, what? That was one of the things that I don't think I noticed last time watching through again.
Is that in these episodes?
It's in this episode. I wrote it down for this episode, which means it's at the beginning of this
I
episode.
didn't even pick up on that guy.
If you hadn't watched the episode in the original series, I wouldn't. He wouldn't have been
Beginning
recognized.
of episode 4?
But he's the guy with the mustache who like comes up later in the series, who like hates Ed and Alphonse because basically they ruined his life of being a crook. I just thought that was a little funny thing to mention because I noticed it and wrote it down.
Well, that's the first 4 episodes of Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. Kick some ass. We'll see you. Well, our next episode is going to be My Hero Academia, and then after that, we'll be doing episodes 5 through 8 of Fullmetal Brotherhood again.
So keep watching with us.
Yeah. All right. Once again, I'm Jacob Betts.
I'm Kane Reynolds.
Kenneth Rubiro.
All right. See you guys next time.
Bye.